Lights out in Winterset. The late summer sun hung low over Winterset, Iowa, painting the sky in streaks of peach and lavender. The town, with its 5,000 souls, sprawled across rolling hills, its red brick courthouse standing proud at the center of the square. Keith, a lanky 38-year-old with a salt and pepper beard, leaned against the counter of his hardware store, Miller's Tools and Timber, wiping sweat from his brow. The air was thick, the kind of humid that made your shirt cling like a second skin. His wife, Sarah, was in the back, restocking cans of paint, her auburn ponytail swinging as she hummed a tune. Their 16-year-old daughter, Ellie, sat on a stool near the register, her nose buried in a sci-fi novel, earbuds dangling from one ear. Across the street, Pastor Dan, a wiry man in his 60s with a voice like gravel, swept the steps of the First United Methodist Church, his collie, Rusty, napping in the shade. The clock on the wall ticked toward 6 p.m. when it happened. A low, unnatural hum vibrated through the air, like the world itself was holding its breath. Then, snap. Every light in the store flickered and died. The hum of the air conditioner cut out. Ellie's earbuds went silent and she looked up, frowning. "Dad, my phone's dead." Keith glanced at his own phone. Black, lifeless. Outside, car engines sputtered to a halt. A pickup truck stalled in the middle of Jefferson Street, its driver, old Mr. Hensley, slamming his fist on the steering wheel. The street lights, the neon sign of the Northside Cafe, the traffic signal at the corner, all dark. Sarah emerged from the back, a streak of blue paint on her cheek. "Power's out," she asked, but her voice carried an edge. Keith stepped outside, the bell above the door jingling. The town square was eerily still. People spilled onto porches and sidewalks, their faces a mix of confusion and irritation. Pastor Dan shielded his eyes, staring at the sky as if expecting answers. Rusty whined, his ears twitching. In the distance, a faint plume of smoke rose from the direction of Highway 169, where a delivery truck had veered into a ditch. Keith's gut twisted. He'd read about EMPs, electromagnetic pulses that could fry electronics in an instant. A solar flare, a high-altitude nuke, even a freak accident could cause one. Whatever this was, Winterset was cut off. No phones, no cars, no power. The modern world had blinked out. "Keith, what's going on?" Sarah's voice was steady, but her green eyes darted toward Ellie, who clutched her book like a lifeline. Keith forced a calm he didn't feel. "Something big. We need to check on supplies and get home." Their house, a 2-story farmhouse on the edge of town, was a mile away, surrounded by cornfields and a small orchard. It had a well, a wood stove, and a basement stocked with canned goods, habits from Sarah's prepper days. But they weren't ready for this. The family locked up the store and headed toward the square, joining a growing crowd. Pastor Dan stood on the courthouse steps, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "Folks, stay calm. We don't know what's happened, but we'll figure it out together." His words were firm, but his hands trembled. A woman in a sundress, Mrs. Larson from the bakery, shouted, "My insulin pump stopped. What do I do?" Others chimed in. Pacemakers, refrigerated medicines, stranded kids at soccer practice. Panic rippled like a stone dropped in a pond. Ellie tugged Keith's sleeve, her freckled face pale. "Dad, is this like the end of the world?" He squeezed her shoulder, his calloused hand steady. "Not if we stick together, kid." But his mind raced. Winterset had a grocery store, a clinic, and a volunteer fire department, but no hospital, no police station. The nearest city, Des Moines, was 30 miles away. If this was an EMP, help wasn't coming. They made it home as dusk settled, the sky now a deep indigo pricked with stars. The farmhouse loomed against the horizon, its white clapboard siding glowing faintly. Inside, Sarah lit kerosene lanterns, casting flickering shadows on the oak-paneled walls. The air smelled of dust and old wood. Ellie rummaged in the basement, hauling up jars of peaches and a crate of dried beans. Keith checked his old ham radio, a relic from his dad's days. It was dead, its circuits likely fried. He swore under his breath, then caught Sarah's eye. She nodded, understanding. They'd have to rely on what they had. By lantern light, they ate a cold supper: bread, peanut butter, and apples from the orchard. Ellie poked at her food, her usual chatter replaced by silence. "What about school? My friends?" she asked finally. Sarah reached for her hand. "We'll find them, but right now, we focus on us." Keith admired Sarah's calm, but he saw the worry in her clenched jaw. A knock at the door startled them. Pastor Dan stood on the porch, rusty at his heels. His face was grim, his shirt damp with sweat. "Keith, Sarah, we got trouble. A fire started at the grain elevator. No trucks are running, no phones to call for help, and folks are getting scared. Some are talking about looting the grocery store." Keith's stomach sank. The elevator was on the east side of town, its towering silos a landmark. A fire there could spread fast, especially with no water pumps working. Sarah stood, already grabbing a bucket. "We'll help. Ellie, stay here. Lock the doors." Ellie protested, but Keith cut her off. "Listen to your mom. We'll be back soon." He grabbed a flashlight, useless now, and a crowbar for protection. The night air was cool, carrying the acrid scent of smoke. As they hurried toward town, the horizon glowed orange, the silhouettes of the silos stark against it. Shouts echoed from the square, where a crowd had gathered. Some carried buckets, others shovels, trying to dig a fire break in the dry grass. Mrs. Larson was there, her face streaked with tears, passing out water from her bakery's stock. But the fire was relentless, licking at the sky, its heat like a living thing. Keith and Sarah joined the bucket brigade, hauling water from the town's hand-pumped well. Pastor Dan worked beside them, his shirt soaked, praying under his breath. The crowd was a mix of determination and fear, neighbors who'd known each other for years, now facing a world unmoored. A young man, Tommy from the auto shop, ran up, panting. "Some guys are breaking into the grocery store. They're taking everything." Keith's grip tightened on the bucket. Without food, Winterset wouldn't last a week. As the fire raged and chaos loomed, Keith locked eyes with Sarah. They had to act, but how? The town was unraveling, and their family was at its heart. What happens next? Dear viewers, you decide the story's next chapter. Leave a comment with your choice from the options below, and we'll continue the tale based on your votes. Fight the fire. Keith and Sarah rally the town to save the grain elevator, risking their safety to protect Winterset's food supply. But the fire grows, and they uncover a clue about the EMP's cause. Stop the looters. Keith and Pastor Dan confront the looters at the grocery store, trying to restore order. They face a tough moral choice when they recognize the culprits as desperate neighbors. Protect the family. Keith and Sarah return home to safeguard Ellie and their supplies, fortifying the farmhouse. Strange noises in the night suggest they're not alone. Search for answers. Keith and Ellie sneak out to investigate the crashed truck on Highway 169, hoping to find working tech or clues about the EMP. They discover something, or someone, unexpected. Comment with your choice and stay tuned for the next installment.